So before I begin this video, I want to thank all the Raptors fans and everybody else that commented on my last video talking about what the Raptors and Rockets fans don't want to hear. It's quite interesting to see the response to that video because it didn't get as many likes as I wanted, and really I don't care too much because it's okay, that's the name of the game. But it did get some engagement, which is always great in terms of how YouTube sees a video. The other thing that I like about the responses I had in that video is you guys made some good points. And I'll get into those points later, but first I want to correct myself. When I said that I didn't see the Raptors making it to the play-in, a part of me knew that wasn't true, because in all reality, the Raptors have a great chance of making the play-in, and they even have a good shot at making it to the lower seeds in the playoffs. Now, where we disagree is in terms of the expectations that we put on the Raptors. So what I want to do today is respond to some of your comments, and I'm actually very grateful for some of the comments because they provided great insight, and I do want to respond to them and address them and also provide my insights and some perspective that I have that may be helpful to you, may not be. It is up to you at the end of the day. So now let's do it. This was a funny one to read. Thank you for the comments, man. I'm a fun guy. Said to me, "What are you off about, bro? We're not anything like the Rockets. Raptors will be good. They have a core that was second best in the NBA 2 seasons ago and fixed all the issues that plagued them last year, such as sickness and roster. The East got better. Okay, so did we. Significantly too. Our roster season had a lot of experimental players. We upgraded that. So no one could tell me we're some playing team just because of last year. The Raptors have a system and it is a winning system, and it just depends on personnel, and last year their personnel was awful. Much better upgrades this year. Fully expect them to be winning again because the winning is done within the system anyways." Now I'll reply to this comment talking about how we need to be realistic and that although the Raptors have a good system, and they did catch a break last year that was really awful, we need to temper our expectations, so to speak, and remember how we lost so many close games with Lowry, and now without Lowry, the Raptors are going to have to prove themselves again. Now, he replied, like many others, saying that Lowry was actually holding us back, and that in all reality, the Raptors will be better off without Lowry, and it was the right thing to do. And if you look at the stats, that is true. They had a great run without Lowry when he was hurt with the ankle injury. But my point still stands that the Raptors will have to prove themselves yet again now, because now it's going to be a full season without Lowry. So now teams are going to now scout you much better than they did last season, and they're going to be more aware of your strengths and weaknesses. Now he talks about how Van Vliet and Kyle Lowry as a backcourt is way too small, and that teams are going to destroy them on offense. But what about Gary Trent Jr. and Van Vliet as a backcourt? As good as Trent Jr. was on offense, defensively is really a liability, and you have now two small guys that has one of them being good on defense, but the other one not so much. And you have a worse small backcourt than you did with Kyle Lowry and Van Vliet to begin with. Also, part of what made Kyle Lowry a liability, so to speak, is the fact that he got hurt during the season. So that really, can be explained away by injuries, and not so much that Kyle Lowry is a liability. Now, this comment was fun to read as well. "In my opinion, you're lost to think they won't even make the play-in. Raptors are a playoff team based off of just the players that are still there from the chip run, who I guarantee have improved as usual. Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Philly, and maybe Miami are the only teams I see as better. Everyone else in the East is a toss-up. Last season was an anomaly, 72 road games in Tampa away from their families, friends, routine. Half the team caught COVID, injuries to starters that kept them out for weeks, BLM, Baines, and they tanked the last third of the season. You ain't down with that clique." Now, let me tell you something, okay? Raptors fans and Raptors faithful, I am down with the cause in terms of the Raptors winning it, okay? I am with you guys, and I do love me some Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fran Vliet. Let's get it. But I'm gonna have to be honest, they need much more than those three to really get to the playoffs, because now you miss players like Kawhi Leonard, of course, and Kyle Lowry is gone, and you have Ibaka that's missing, and you have a guy like Marc Gasol that's gone. You have a lot of key players from that run that are not there anymore, and the veteran leadership of Dragic won't be enough to fill that void. Now, I do agree with your assessment that Brooklyn, Miami, Milwaukee, and Philly are the only teams that I really wouldn't put the Raptors above, and that the other teams are a toss-up. Now, where I disagree is where we put the Raptors here, okay? Because I don't think the Raptors are going to be 5th place in the East. But I also don't think they're going to be a 12 seed based on what ESPN thinks. And this is where this reply comes into play, because it talks about how Raptors and the Raptors franchise have been overlooked for so long, and how they really don't rate us as highly as they should. And that's true to some extent, but you have to understand the position that the Raptors are currently in, because this is not as bad as when the Raptors won that championship and as soon as Kawhi left, some guys had us not even making the playoffs. And I thought to myself that was hilarious at the time, and that the media really was a joke at that point. But at the same time now, when I see what the media says about the Raptors today, it does make sense because of what happened last year. And I think Raptors fans need to stop thinking about what happened in 2019 and have to start focusing on the things that happened this year. There are some good things to take out of it, but there are also some bad things that have happened, and that the media, when they are proven wrong again, we're going to be there to celebrate it. I'm going to be there with you guys. Don't worry about that. Now, this comment actually pretty much agrees with a lot of what I said and added to that with their perspective on it. And they said, the Rockets understand they are rebuilding, and so do the fans. They just hope that Green is good. The Raptors are a wild card. They started 2-8, fought back to like 500, then got the 4th seed. And Coach Nurse, Fred, and Pascal and OG missed 9 games, sick with the virus. Pascal lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks. They lost all 9 games, went to 11th seed, and immediately started to tank. So who knows how they do now back in Toronto. But the East is much improved. Home court in basketball is the highest in any sport, almost 70%. This is the biggest point that y'all have made, that the Raptors really were a good team during the season before all of that nonsense happened with the virus. And I actually agree, and I can't believe that for some reason it didn't cross my mind that that actually happened and that actually impacted the Raptors as much as it actually did. 4th seed to 11th seed, big drop off. Raptors decided to tank. Makes sense. They just wanted to have a season to really restart a little bit and have a season to where they could attack again. And now they have a 4th pick to back them as well. This is going to be a very interesting season for the Raptors as well. Again, this comment, I'm not going to read it because it's very long and it's really informative and there's a lot to take in here. So I suggest you read it on your own time. But if you want to listen to what I have to say about this comment, I already said most of what I had to say in regards to other people's comments, and he does make some great points. I do think that I wasn't really able to reply to his comment because I wasn't sure what to say, because he said everything that was needed to say, and I thought to myself, I need to make a video after I seen this comment because it was a great comment. But this whole notion that the Raptors are the only team that's going to see a big edge because now they're going to finally play some games at home. Look, teams during the regular season didn't have their full crowds appearing in them, and you have teams now that are going to, for the first time, have a full crowd when playing during the season. So the Raptors aren't going to be the only team with that edge. And also, a lot of other teams went through injuries and COVID, and it was such a big problem that you even have commentators on YouTube talking about it during the playoffs and making what if videos that I'll be reacting to very soon if you want to check those out. And the last commenter also highlighted how the Rockets rebuild is completely different than the Raptors that are simply retooling their assets, and that's very true. I should have made that much more clear during that video, but unfortunately, it is what it is. But now I want to talk about something that's very interesting, because the commentator before that, he brought up a great point that the Raptors have some bigger competition now than ever. And I'm very glad he brought up how the East has gotten improved, okay? The East has gotten much better, and I'm going to talk about that right now a little bit, okay? So we already discussed how Philly, Miami, Milwaukee, and Brooklyn, they're top 4 in the East, okay? We're not going to touch that. But 5th to 12 is where we're going to have to talk a little bit. Because you have the Chicago Bulls who acquired DeMar DeRozan and Lonzo Ball, and you have Alex Caruso now coming into the play. And this is going to be a very interesting team to look at. They already have Vucevic, they already have Zach LaVine, they already have Patrick Williams from last year. And this team is already looking to be a dynamic team on both ends. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be in the playoffs. So they're going to be there for sure. Now you have the Knicks. The Knicks had a big jump up from last year. When they were in the bottom tier of the playoffs, I think they were 10th seed at the very least. And then they became a 4th seed over the last couple of games during the season. They had a hot streak. Randall was great. All-star, most improved player. Now, the coach was also very formidable. Thibodeau, of course, being coach of the year. He deserves it, but at the same time, you really have to look at the players he had. He had Derrick Rose coming in late during the season who actually helped them. Emmanuel quickly with a nice rookie year that he had. Very much shocked everybody. And you have a team that has added Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier. They look very formidable. I wouldn't sleep on them either. Now you have the Pacers. I'm going to talk about the Pacers because they're very good and need to be talked about way more. I made a video on that if you want to check that out. The Pacers have a lot of good pieces that are still in the team. And Miles Turner being there, you have Sabonis there. Their front court is very good. And then you have TJ Warren that might come back later in the season. Man, you can't sleep on those guys, man. Malcolm Brogdon, you see what he did in 2019. 50, 40, 90 in his third year. Come on, man. This guy is a legit hooper. And then you have the backups of McConnell. McConnell is always great. He's going to give you everything. The only bad thing about his game is his free throw shooting. And you have other players like Chris Duarte and Isaiah Jackson coming in from this year's draft that might actually give the Pacers a little bit of an edge over other teams. Now, the Atlanta Hawks just made the Eastern Conference Finals, and we cannot sleep on them as well. They're going to be top 5, top 6 at the very most, okay? This team is very good, primed for another playoff. Boom, okay? Trae Young, of course, elite player. And then they didn't even have the players like DeAndre Hunter and Cam Reddish played that much during their playoff run. Imagine them being healthy as well, adding that defensive core that they had in Atlanta, and you have a coach in Nick McMillan that can shape this team up to be a very good team, perhaps even be top 4. Now you also have the Charlotte Hornets with LaMelo Ball, Rookie of the Year, outstanding talent. He's probably going to be an all-star very soon in his career, and he's already looking to be a star in this league coming into his second year. And then you can't forget about Gordon Hayward being in this team. That's a big thing. And then Mason Plumlee being acquired from the Pistons. Oh my goodness, that's going to add such a depth to this team that they didn't even have last season. Okay, and then put that along with Devontae Graham and Terry Rozier being a threat in the backcourt. Then you have Cody Zeller being able to do something for you. But then you also have PJ Washington, man. Prayers up for him. And barring injuries, I'm pretty sure this team is also going to make at least the play-in, but at most they're going to be a top 6 team. The Boston Celtics are also another team that people need to look out for. A lot of people have been sleeping on them because of what happened last season. But be careful because Jason Tatum is an all-star. Jaylen Brown is probably going to have another great season. And then you add a player like Dennis Schroeder in the backcourt. This is going to be an elite team. And then you have that reinforcement and bringing back Al Horford now in your front court. And it's going to be very much a team that's going to be flexible on offense and a team that's going to have their defensive players at the back helm. So I'm pretty sure they're even making the playoffs. But now a team that I don't even think will make the play-in, but that could try to make the play-in is the Wizards. And the reason for that is that they are unproven and they did add some talent, but at the same time they had to give away a prime player like Russell Westbrook to do that. But best believe Bradley Beal is a all-star elite caliber player. He's going to be an all-star for sure if he doesn't get hurt. And now you add 3 players in Kuzma, Harrell, and Caldwell Pope to a team that already has Bertans and Thomas Bryant. This is going to be a team that's very interesting to watch. This is going to be a team that could make it to the playoffs, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be trying to play for a play-in position. So really, these are the teams that the Raptors will have to face and will have to beat in order to make not only the play-in, but also potentially make the playoffs.